Hello and welcome to the channel. Very short questions based on the last lesson by Alphonse Daudet. Who is the narrator of the last lesson? Franz. Where does the story take place? In Alsace, France. Why was Franz reluctant to go to school that morning? He hadn't prepared his French participles lesson. What was unusual about the school that day? It was quiet, and the villagers were sitting in the classroom. Who was Mr. Hamel? He was Franz's French teacher. Why was Mr. Hamel wearing his best clothes? It was his last day of teaching French. What was the order from Berlin? German was to be taught in schools instead of French. How did Franz react on hearing about the last lesson? He felt guilty for not studying properly. Who were sitting at the back of the classroom? The old villagers of the town. Why had the villagers come to the school? To show respect for their language and M. Hamel. How did Mr. Hamel describe the French language? He called it the most beautiful, clear, and logical language. What did Mr. Hamel blame the people for? For not valuing their language and postponing learning. Why did Mr. Hamel blame himself? He had sometimes neglected teaching and given students holidays. What task did Mr. Hamel give to the students? Writing practice using fancy round letters. What did Franz find difficult in writing? The fancy round letters. What sound did Franz hear outside? The sound of Prussian soldiers drilling. Why did Mr. Hamel feel emotional during the lesson? He was teaching French for the last time. What did Mr. Hamel write on the blackboard at the end? Vive la France. How did the story end? Mr. Hamel dismissed the class with a silent gesture. What does the title, the last lesson signify? The loss of language and culture due to foreign rule. What emotions did Franz experience throughout the lesson? Regret, guilt, and sorrow. Why was Franz surprised to see Mr. Hamel kind? Mr. Hamel was usually strict. How long had Mr. Hamel been teaching in that school? 40 years. What was the impact of the Berlin Order on the people of Alsace and Lorraine? They felt a deep loss of identity and culture. What did Mr. Hamel urge the people to do? Always love and protect their language. What was Franz's greatest regret? Not learning his language seriously. What did Mr. Hamel do when Franz was reciting? He listened patiently and did not scold him. How did the villagers react to the last lesson? They were sad and silent. What does Mr. Hamel's character symbolize? Patriotism and dedication to education. Why did the villagers sit at the back of the classroom? To show their respect for the French language? Why were the new copies given to students? To practice writing in beautiful script. What does Vive la France mean? Long live France. How did the story depict the effects of war through the loss of language and identity? Why was learning French now more important to France? It was the last chance before German replaced it. What was the effect of the Prussian occupation on schools? French was banned and German was imposed. Why did Franz feel ashamed of himself? He had wasted his time instead of learning French. Why did Mr. Hamel not scold Franz for coming late? He was too sad to be angry on the last day. What did Franz realize about books and language? They were like close friends whom he was missing or losing. What was the significance of the phrase final lesson? The final lesson represented the loss of French culture in Alsace. How did Mr. Hamel describe the role of language in freedom? He said that a nation is enslaved if it forgets its language. What did Mr. Hamel do when the church bell rang at noon? He stood silent and dismissed the class. How does the story reflect patriotism? It highlights the love for one's mother tongue. Why did Franz feel a sudden love for French? He realized its value only when it was being taken away. What role did the villagers play in the lesson? They showed their regret and respect for their language. What is the main theme of the last lesson? The importance of language and education. How does the quiet classroom symbolize the seriousness and sorrow of the situation? Why did the narrator compare Mr. Hamel to a martyr? He dedicated his life to teaching and preserving the language. How did Mr. Hamel react when he could not speak at the end? He wrote Vive la France and dismissed the class. What does the France transformation signify? The realization of the value of education and language. How is the last lesson relevant today? It reminds us to respect and preserve our culture and language.